The American battalion in front of us has resisted our advance the whole day, but now our scouts report that they are trying to retreat under the cover of darkness. A company of T-62 tanks that have been held in reserve, together with a platoon of BMPs, is sent forward to pursue the enemy and kill as many of them as possible. Our scouts report that the enemies on the left flank have abandoned their defensive positions too soon, exposing that area to a quick armored thrust into the enemy's rear. 2 platoons of T-62s are sent that way to head off the enemy retreat. Hello there, and welcome to a new episode of GHPC, that little tank game that I've grown quite fond of in the past few weeks. Since the mission that we are going to play today will be fought at night in the darkness, and since it will put us into the action almost immediately, I decided to show you today's tank here on the training range. So, today we are driving the T-62, a very old Soviet tank design. Went into serial production in 1962, and even then this tank was really a stopgap measure, an interim solution. The Soviet Union decided that the T-55 was not adequate enough, and well, the development of the tank that later became the T-64 that needed some more time, and so they made this and then produced 20,000 of these things and sold them all over the world. This tank, I mean, when the Soviets produced a tank, they produced them in huge numbers, and so they did with this one. What can I say for the tank itself? Well, it is a Soviet tank design. That means it comes with the famous Soviet reverse gear, which accelerates you to a blistering 5 km per hour when you put it in reverse. Absolutely useless if you need to get out of a tight situation. You are better off just turning the tank around and turning your rear towards the enemy and then driving off. That's faster than reversing. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. What else is there to say about this tank? It is overall a very mediocre tank. Nothing on this tank is really special or noteworthy or really good. Absolutely nothing. We do have plenty of ammunition on board, as you can see. The tank has a driver, a gunner, a commander and a loader. So no carousel with autoloader in this thing, that came later. Here the loader has to load these big huge grenades manually, these huge shells. This guy must have crazy strong arms if he has to keep that up during a whole engagement. But other than that, what else is there to say? We do not have a laser rangefinder. We have a Mark 1 eyeball rangefinder. So essentially I have to estimate the range or use the scale on the lower right side here to measure it. But that scale, for you to use this scale, you need to know how high your target is. And even then, it's not really accurate. So hitting anything at long range with this thing is not easy. It really isn't. And when we are fighting at night, this will be how our sight is looking. Well, it will be darker than this, but this is essentially it. No range markings at all. It's just, oh, more or less there. Fire. Oh, that's gonna be so bad. That's gonna be so bad. The gun itself is quite powerful. If we do hit something, we have a good chance of penetrating. This was actually the first tank, well, the first more modern tank, I should say, with a smooth bore cannon. And it had really good penetration characteristics for the time. But other than that, the tank is, as I said, unremarkable. We'll just drive it and hope that we survive. Oh, also there's one thing that it does have going in its favor. It has a pretty good stabilization, so you can keep the crosshairs on target. But still, without knowing the range to target, all that you're doing is more or less estimating the deflection that you need to choose and the range. And well, it's very hard to hit anything, especially while you're moving. I'll try to hit that thing over there. Let's say that's 1,500 meters away. Nah, still short. See, that's the problem. Hitting with this thing will be a challenge. Good, with that said, let's go ahead and go into the mission. Welcome to the battlefield. I'm in my T-62. I have more T-62s behind me and we need to get a move on. But let me first tell you really quick what's going on. So, the enemy is retreating away from us down this road. They're trying to leave the area. We are to pursue them and to hit them as hard as we can until we reach this blocking position. Another force is flanking the enemy and will then attack them from the side as they are trying to retreat. That's the plan. And as you can see, without a night vision device, things are pretty dark, so we have to use this. And we also have to use it here, but yeah, you can tell it's dark. Platoon formation wedge. I do have a powerful infrared searchlight, however I'm not sure if that would give my position away. Let me use it briefly. Target lost. What and where? The problem with the searchlight is if I activate it and there's smoke in the air, I'm essentially blinding myself. Target lost. There's something that way. I just can't spot it. There, tank! Hit the side of the turret. Popped smoke. There's another one. Hit it. The left one is dead. The right one isn't. Hit it again. It's done. The left one blew up. This is how it looks without night vision. This is how it looks with night vision and with the searchlight off. Let's keep moving, guys. Let me drop some artillery on this road that the enemies are taking to escape. And I'm not going through the village, I'm going around it. That seems to be the plan. Let me restock a few AP rounds here. We are moving through. This looks just awesome. We have fire going up in the sky. We have a recon helicopter in the air. I think the enemies are trying to shoot it down. But by doing that, they are showing me their own position. Platoon formation line. Enemy tanks. Keep going. Pursue, pursue. They're indeed trying to shoot down the poor helicopter. Hit that one. Seems to be going still though. We hit them both. Hit another tank. Oh man, this is starting to be a real mess for the enemies. Movement there. Hit. More movement. Load, load, load. Hit something. Tank. Load. Hit it. We are killing them here. As they're trying to retreat. There's something. Okay, we are at the blocking position. We'll now be put in charge of the flanking force. Get eyes on here. There's a tank. I think that went long. Load heat. Okay. I'm now in command of the flanking force. Let's move out. Head off the enemy as they're trying to retreat. A lot of tanks here. And looks like the enemies are still trying to shoot down the poor helicopter. There it is. It's above us now. Assume combat formation. Begin the assault. This helicopter, by the way, is spotting for us. So I now know where to drop artillery. There we go. Platoon formation line. We are now over here, coming up on this ridge line. What the hell was that? I'm not sure. Anyway, we are coming up on this ridge line, and from there we will be able to attack the enemies down there. Can I restock a bit more ammunition, please? I have a feeling that I'm gonna need it. Okay, I'm trying to time it so that we all go over the edge here together. So that we can concentrate maximum firepower on the enemies. Actually, I think I'll just drop smoke on the village to break up lines of sight for the enemy. To really put a little bit more confusion into them. Looks like we are rolling over. Light on. Yeah, we are going. Targets. I see APCs. Tanks. Hit it. There's another one. Oh boy, we are hitting them. Are they on fire? Not sure, but let's make sure. I think the enemy tanks are dead. Let's load high explosive next, because there are lots of trucks moving down there. We are gonna take them out from up here. That was a high explosive shell, hit the truck. Plenty more trucks trying to move. Hit. There's a truck moving. Hit that thing. Load heat next. That was a hit. That thing should be dead. Yeah, it's slowing down. It's stopping. Some APCs. But none of them seem to be doing anything or moving. They must all be dead. Let's go down there. Some tanks are already down there. Let's go down there and investigate. See if there's anything else that needs to be killed off. And see what the difference the searchlight makes, by the way. Just finish off a truck here and there. APCs are indeed empty. My tanks are... we are here, we are securing the area. What a mission. What a mission this has been. That truck back there, he tried to escape, but he didn't make it. We stuck rounds. We have won. My god, what a brutal attack on the enemy. This caught them completely off guard. Did we take losses? Yeah, we lost at least one tank here. In the other platoon. But other than that, we are alright. And what I see is plenty of things on fire. That's what I see. Let's get a little bit closer to that. I want to have a better look. Damn, how many rounds am I stocking? We fired a lot of rounds here. Look at all these burning tanks. Okay. Load a high explosive shell. I want a nice picture here. Actually, let me park my tank right here. This is gonna look nice. Very nice indeed. That's gonna be a thumbnail picture. This has been a really fun mission. And I can't wait to see the after action report here. So, Pact 1 of course. NATO lost 20 pieces of equipment. Pact lost 1 piece of equipment, so that's 1 tank I guess. Let's take a look. Let's not show just the hits, not only what I was involved in. We will exclude small caliber because the number is otherwise pretty huge and it's not significant here. And we're gonna include the fire support. So, first shot, made by me as we are coming down towards the village here. And I spot this tank. I put a round straight through the turret. Wound the loader. Hit the fire control computer. I do hit some propellant casing, but I don't penetrate it, so I don't think this tank is taken out at this point. Oh yeah, they did actually pop smoke after being hit in the turret like this. The next shot hits the tank left of it, in the side of the turret. But this time some parts of shrapnel go down there into the ready rack. No, that's the storage rack down there. Hit a propellant casing, penetrated, and so the tank catches on fire. That's gone. I then switch my attention back to this tank on the right side and put another round through the turret. This time killing the gunner and also possibly finishing off the loader there. Do I fire again at it? I don't think I do. No, I don't think I do. So that's this tank finished. We then continue on and I gain sight, I think, of the enemies trying to go down this road. Indeed I do. My first shot misses. This enemy tank just goes over it into the woods. My next shot, however, does hit, but the hit is not significant. It just penetrates this mudguard essentially and goes off into the woods. One of my other tanks fires and hits this M60 here straight into the lower side of the turret, but the shell does not penetrate. It shatters due to the impact angle. I take a shot at this same tank and with the same result actually. Okay. Then another one of my tanks takes a shot at a different enemy tank and puts a round straight through the back of the turret here. So this thing is finished off. I'm pretty sure this thing is gone after this hit. What happened here? For some reason this tank decided to take a shot just as this APC was passing in front of it. The gunner actually was not killed by this. The gun shield was penetrated. Huh. Weird. Meanwhile, we continue to punish these tanks that are driving up the road. I put a shot into the back of this tank here, but once again the angle is so bad that the shell does not penetrate. I try again, not sure if it's the same tank that I'm engaging or another one. I guess it's another one because this one has the turret turned to the rear. I put the shell straight through the turret, hitting all that ammunition there, so this thing is simply gone. I engage another tank and put a round into the turret. This one does penetrate and does plenty of damage. Not sure if it is enough to completely kill this tank though. I hit another tank in the side of the turret as it is retreating. The shell does a lot of damage, so the turret crew is taken out or wounded. Pretty brutal hit right here. Yeah. And then I sight some movement in the distance and I fire at that. And it turns out what I fired at is an APC. The round goes straight through this thing. The driver is wounded in the arm. But that's about it. The shell, interestingly enough, the shell continues on. Flies through this house. Exits out the other side, flies through another house, and then continues to fly off into the distance, while spraying a lot of stuff into this area here. This is awesome to see. I spot more movement next to that APC, and it's actually one of the tanks. I put a round straight through it, and this hits a warhead, and I think this tank blows up. That was that. Then we come to... No, that's not a flanking force yet. That's me once again shooting at something, at this retreating tank, but aiming high. One of my other tanks takes a shot at this APC on the entrance to the village and puts a round straight through the crew compartment. Another one puts another round into the crew compartment. And then somebody puts a heat round into the rear of this tank, but unfortunately just the track. And another one into the engine. And another one into the other track. No, this time actually a warhead was penetrated, so I think this is where this tank blows up. But still, for good measure, somebody puts another round straight through the turret. And now they are focusing on a different tank that is trying to retreat, putting a round through the track. Now we have artillery starting to rain down on the enemies on the reverse side of the village. So the blocking position is over there that way. This is where the enemies are trying to escape to, and over there must be where the flanking force is coming from. This is the artillery that I call in on the confused enemies. So this shell impacts close to a tank, but I don't think that it did any real damage here. This, however, is a different matter. This shell directly impacts an APC, and this absolutely does kill it. Look at that, the jet even penetrates through, it splashes down into the APC. Awesome. Looks like the blocking force is still engaging enemy tanks, still trying to take out this one, putting a shell into the turret, which does do some damage. putting another shell into the tank, and this time plenty of ammunition is hit along the way, so this thing is now finished. Still, one more shell, why not? More artillery rains down. This shell explodes next to a truck, so this truck is certainly disabled from this. Another artillery shell. The artillery actually did a fantastic job. Impacts next to this APC. Probably obliterates the crew inside. And now we have the flanking force coming over the ridgeline. So this is me. Looks like I fire this shot at this tank here. And I put a round straight through the turret. Into all of that propellant casing back there. Into all of those shells. But no propellant casing is penetrated. So what I achieved is to take out the loader. The loader is dead. Another tank fires at this enemy tank here. Actually at the second one, there are two of them here. Okay, he fires at the second one and takes out the engine. Somebody else fires at this APC and puts a round through the crew compartment. Another tank fires at this second M60 and puts a round really into an almost ideal place. But had he aimed a little bit more to the right and down, this would have been much better. As it is, what damage is really done here? The loader is wounded. Heavily wounded, really wounded. Possibly dead. Yeah, most likely dead. Okay, I guess the loader is killed here. Another tank puts a shell through the first enemy tank on this side. And he does actually hit in such a place that the loader, whom I already killed, is double killed now. But I don't see any note about penetrating a warhead or penetrating propellant casings. No, nothing like that. I put another round through this thing though. And this one penetrates through. Still, no propellant casing is penetrated, which is very interesting. At least I don't see any. I see that it is hit, but not penetrated. This tank is very lucky. My guess is that the crew bailed out by now. This is actually the second tank. Oh no, that's the second tank, yeah. So the first tank, we can see that only the loader is inside, indicating that the rest of the crew bailed out. I now hit the second tank again. That still has the crew inside, apart from the loader who is already dead. My guess is that at this point they are bailing out. Another tank fires at it. And this time propellant casing is penetrated, so this tank is catching on fire now. Oh boy. I put a final round into this first tank here. Do not penetrate. And now I start to shoot at the trucks that are trying to escape. Put a high explosive shell just beneath this truck, probably taking it out. I put another shell into the tire of this truck here, most likely killing the truck. And then one truck is driving away. I try to hit it, but I aim a little bit short. Still a little bit of shrapnel goes that way, but not enough. I re-engage. This time I aim a little bit closer. Still nothing though, apart from a bit of shrapnel. By now everybody's hosing down this truck with machine gun fire. And then I seem to put a heat shell into the engine block here. And I do hit the engine. So I think this is when the truck slowed down. I then drive down there and start to blast at the trucks that have already been killed just to set them on fire. I fire a heat shell into this one, a heat shell into this one here, and another heat shell into this one. And that's it. That's the mission. Oh boy. This was a pretty interesting mission. Pretty confusing mission. The night vision, the old variant of the night vision that these old Soviet tanks have, the picture is very blurry and grainy, so it's really difficult to see anything. And the infrared floodlight, which we can by the way see on my turret here, you see its red glow up there with the machine gun. You see its red glow, that indicates that it's activated. That's really the only thing that you can see when these lights are turned on, unless you are wearing a night vision device. Pretty cool. So the light does help you a little bit to spot things, but you also, well, you have a big light turned on. Everybody wearing a night vision device can see you. It's like a huge flashlight, a huge searchlight that you're turning on. So there's that. Maybe it's unwise to leave it on for longer periods of time. And also if there is dust and smoke in the air, then by turning on that light you are essentially blinding yourself, because all the dust and smoke reflects that light back at you. So really it's very situational. The AI, I don't think they know quite well how to use it. They seem to just turn it on periodically, or when they're engaging something, and that's about it. When the AI is using such a light against me, I am completely blinded when looking down a night vision device. However, when I'm using it against the AI, they don't seem to have the same predicament. So I'm really not quite sure how well the AI is tuned for using those things, but it's still pretty cool to see them turned on and to see them illuminate the night. And with those words, I think we'll end today's episode here. I want to thank you very much for watching this episode. I really do hope that you have enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you think, how I should use those infrared lights. What is the best way to use them? Because I'm really not sure. You give me your thoughts on that, please. Right, with that said, once again, thank you very much, and I hope to see you again next time for another awesome episode. Until then, have some really great days and goodbye.